Tiffany, we need to talk.
Yeah, I figured.
You're hurt.
It's nothing. I saw you take much worse. Joker was going to cut Waller ear to ear. I had to create a distraction.
It was certainly distracting.
My confession. It took you by surprise, didn't it? I just couldn't keep it in anymore.
You know I don't condone killing. Not even scum like Riddler.
I've been dreading this moment. Especially since I learned who you are under that mask. I was afraid of what might happen if you found out. I guess I was hoping you never would.
I wish I hadn't. You put me in a difficult position.
I know, I'm sorry. But I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I wasn't thinking about anything except what Riddler did to my family. My mother hasn't left the house since the funeral. And Luke? He just lashes out. My father's death broke them. It broke all of us. I won't ask for forgiveness. But I hope you can understand why I had to do it. I just felt so powerless. Like my life was crumbling around me.
Revenge is an impulse, one to be checked. I can't condone it. But I do understand it.
Thank you. That means a lot. I couldn't bear it if you despised me. So, where do we go from here? I suppose this puts me on your most wanted list, rather than us working together.
If you want to fill your father's shoes, you need to learn right from wrong. You need someone to teach you.
You're giving me a second chance?
Think of it more as a sentence. You'll have to work hard for your redemption.
I promise I won't let you down.
Then let's get started.
I was going to write a note, but I'm not a coward. At least I don't want to be. Not anymore. Then again, this won't be the first time I've found my courage in a single malt.
Courage for what?
Saying goodbye. I'm leaving, Bruce. It's time I went in search of better pastures.
You just need rest, Alfred. Why don't you take a long vacation? Like we talked about. Someplace in the sun, on the other side of the world from Gotham.
I rather think this vacation will be permanent.
But why?
This war of ours is not what it was when we started. I no longer have the stomach for it. It's not sustainable. At least not for me.
So, take a back seat from the operations. Put your feet up for a while. Keep us stocked with cucumber sandwiches and tea.
And just stand idly by while your enemies rend you limb from limb? Do a little dusting while you bleed out on the Batcave floor? I don't think so. Our mission used to be so clear. Catch the criminals, lock them up. But nothing is clear anymore. At least not to me. Now everything has become so gray.
Gray. Talk to me, Alfred.
We used John Doe, exploited his friendship to get you into the pact. We took advantage of someone you met in an asylum, for God's sake. Someone clearly challenged with a proven tendency to violence.
I'll admit that wasn't our finest moment, but at the time it seemed like our best course of action.
Precisely my point. Our best judgment is no longer good enough. You empowered John Doe, kept him close when you should have put him away, inspired him to become something far more dangerous than he ever was.
What's your point?
Sometimes it's as if Batman creates the evil he means to destroy. For all our good intentions, I fear we only make things worse. A dreadful thought, I know, but one that keeps me awake at night.
Oh, please. There were plenty of criminals around before Batman showed up. I put most of them in jail.
Two-Face, Cobblepot, Lady Arkham, Joker, all they have in common is you. Anyone who comes into contact with us suffers. Lucius is gone. Tiffany has blood on her hands. I foolishly thought bringing her in might make things better, as if her enthusiasm might remind us how things were in the beginning. We put her in danger on her first day, dodging machine guns at a crime scene. The lives we touch are touched by pain. Friends, colleagues, innocents. No one is spared.
That's a price I'm willing to pay. In war, there are always casualties. But it doesn't mean you give up the fight.
I've served in my share of wars, Bruce. More even than you. There are some fights you cannot win. One thing is for certain, my tremors are gone.
Well, that's great news, Al.
They stopped the minute I made the decision to go. I thought it was the kidnapping with Lady Arkham that caused them. Some kind of residual trauma. But I had it wrong. This sense of powerlessness I've been feeling, it came from something I saw in you. The tremors, the fainting spells, all of it.
Do you really think I'm that bad?
No, I'm sorry, Bruce. That's not what I meant at all. Let me explain. Your father was driven by an obsession, by a need to control. He rushed headlong into the darkness, thinking himself invincible, oblivious to the cost. Just like you.
Not like me. I chase that darkness away.
And yet, history is repeating itself. I'm more certain of that with every passing day.
Alfred, these comparisons... You knew the evil my father was capable of. You think you see that in me?
I said nothing about evil, Bruce.
Then what are you saying?
I'm saying you'll end up in the same place. Face down in an alley. Shot in the dark by criminals in some godforsaken corner of Gotham. I won't be witness to that. I won't bury you, too. I stood by and did nothing while Thomas destroyed himself, along with everything he loved. I enabled him, like I'd been enabling you. Realizing this, I've never felt so helpless. I wanted things to be different for you, my boy. You deserved a better life than the one I gave you. I failed you, and for that I'm sorry.
You did the best you could, Al. In a single night, the family was shattered, and you were left to pick up the pieces.
I may have picked them up, but I did a poor job sticking them back together. Well, I don't want to miss my flight. There's always traffic around the airport. You don't have to do it, Bruce. There are other ways of doing good in the world. But you pour everything into your bloody crusade, and I know you too well to hope you'll ever change.
This is easily probably the hardest decision, but it's what I picked last
You're
time.
right, Al. It's who I am. I will always be Batman. And that will never change.
I know. Rubbish goes out on Tuesday, and there's lasagna in the freezer. I'm sure you'll manage.
Evaluate choices. Yeah, let's go over it, I guess. Thanks.
You got that look in your eye, the kind that says you're trouble.
50% of players dismissed her important to the agency. Yeah. I don't really have anything to say about that one.
Thunderbolt! I'm the whole goddamn hurricane!
Remained in a stalemate with her. Cause see, like, I don't remember. I just remember something about, like, I could have swore there was an option to where you could still reason with her and be like, give Jim his job back and, you know, be reasonable. But I was just like, yeah, you kind of went a little bit far, though, so don't think you're innocent. But instead, Batman's like, this fucking bitch! And I'm like, whoa, whoa! And then she started shouting, and I'm like, okay, fine, let's not be peaceable. But the fact of the matter is, she stepped over her bounds. And sure, Batman's not innocent, and it's all a matter of perspective. Remain in a stalemate. I can't. There it goes.
Gotham's safety is slipping out from under me, and I can't stand it.
Yeah, there's. Whoops. God damn it. Well, I know who's next.
I weighed my options, and what can I say? I don't like to lose.
Yeah, with Gordon, I don't know. I think the most interesting thing with Gordon that I did was the fact that he was basically out of the picture for a lot of it. Like, I didn't really do much with him. He was kind of absent from the game, and it was focused entirely on Waller, so that's a fun thing. Catwoman. Yeah, see, because I wanted to free Catwoman, and it's like, no. I'm like, because I could have sworn that was one of the things. It's like, you know, you could choose to save Catwoman, or Avesta, or Jim, or something like that. But I kind of made her mad, so that kind of got ruined. Sorry, dear. I meant to save my love of my life, my girlfriend. It wasn't me doing bad, it was her doing bad.
I won't let you down.
Yeah, most people took in Tiff. I think, because I'm looking at some of these and I'm thinking about the Silent Protagonist Run, like how some of these have timers, and I'm just like, what would it pick? Would it send her to jail if I didn't choose something? What would it do? That's what I'm super curious about, and I'm excited to get to recording some of this stuff just to see what happens. I'm sure I'm probably not the only Silent Protagonist Run on YouTube, but I'm going to do it regardless, just because it's my idea, and fuck you, I want to do it. Yeah, I figured. Well, firstly, when I said like work for me, I was definitely thinking of Batman, not Wayne Enterprises. But I mean, I guess you could be helpful there too. I initially did not try and throw her a helping hand because I was just like, I don't really like you, I don't trust you. But like, I mean, I guess I might as well. So doing something different there.
If a man hides in plain sight for that long, does he forget who he really is?
Alfred was a hard choice, but it's what I went with before. I've seen all the endings, so I know what happens, but truthfully, I think it's a much bigger sacrifice to let Batman go than to let Alfred go. A world without Batman is hugely different versus a world without Alfred. And as shit as it is to say, Alfred's replaceable, especially if we have Tiffany helping us now. The other thing that makes it kind of funny is, like, if you didn't choose to make Tiffany your protege, then Batman would be alone, and like there would be a lot of situations where he'd be on his own. Also, because of the way this game ends, I'm unsure if they would ever make a third version, because a lot of the things that happen in the end are very, very make or break, to where I feel like it would be hard to write a third game. Like, imagine trying to write it without Tiffany, write it without Alfred, write it without being Batman, you know? Like, those are kind of huge decisions, so I feel like there probably isn't going to be a third installment. The next thing I think about is, like, if they did make it, who would it feature? To me, I think the most interesting scenario would be if they focused it around Scarecrow. I think the two biggest villains they haven't used are Scarecrow and Poison Ivy. So that would be the thing, but I also feel like these guys do it in pairs of 3 or 4. So if they wanted to do, like, because Chapter 1 is always, like, one bad guy who's taken down. So, like, if you wanted to do Ivy for that and then make Scarecrow the focus of the rest of it, that would be cool. And then, like, if you wanted to throw in, like, maybe Clayface or Killer Croc, like, those are options. Or I think a more interesting idea would be if you brought in Jason Todd, and then you could do that arc. But I don't know or think they're going to do a third. As far as, I don't know if they've got the license. All I know is right now, the new Telltale is currently working on Wolf Among Us 2. That's it. And yes, when that eventually does come to be, I will do it. The only thing about Wolf Among Us 2 that I'm like half and half about is I know their original plans were completely thrown away and they started from scratch. So I just hope that they don't like ignore a good idea for the sake of not wanting to reuse it. Like, if that makes sense. If they're like, oh, well, in this scenario we want to do this cool thing, and they say, no, don't do that. That's old Telltale. We're new Telltale. I hope they just make it good. If that makes any sort of sense. I want them to do like a Beta 64. Hello, video game researcher, dig up Wolf Among Us 2. Let's get those plans and information. They're not fucking using it. Anyway, enough rambling about Alfred.
We're two threads in the same stitch, bound together, even under strain.
Yeah, like, real shit, I really think they wrote him incredibly well, and it's my favorite version of him. It's like, it's very tragic, but also, like, it makes him fascinating, and it makes me interested in Batman, and that's something I never really was before. So, I really like it. I think the writing's good. Honestly, because of this, I legit hated the fuck out of the Joker film when it came out, and I still hold the opinion that the Joker film is not good, it just has a good ending. There's 2 scenes in that film that were good, and that's when he shoots people on the subway, and the end. That's it. Other words, the movie itself is completely bad and not interesting. But, like, this Joker, this is interesting, this is likable, I love it. I love the idea of just, you know, the chemistry between Batman and Joker, and this takes an interesting spin on it where they're friends, or he betrayed him or something like that. It's just, I don't know, I think it's cool, it's very well written, I like it a lot. Looks like that's the end of it. Did you save a Willie or Agent? I wanted to save Willie, honestly. Yes, and most people did. Hesitated. I guess that's what happens if you don't push it, so I guess now I know that. Did you take Tiffany into the field with you? I understand 100% the reluctancy of doing it, but I just think about things like where Catwoman is on your side and she helps you in the situation. So, I understand not wanting her to go out there, but I feel like, because, you know, you're concerned about her being hurt and all that, but it's like she can be an actual help. So, I'd rather do it, but I completely understand why someone wouldn't want to do it. I can use a control pad. Did you agree to hand over Joker? Yeah, I wouldn't, especially with him in earshot. Like, if he wasn't in earshot, I could lie and say sure, whatever, but he was right there. And even then, maybe not, because that's just mean. Don't turn your bros before hoes, you know? Did you let Alfred stay? Refuse. Yeah, if you just say, just leave already. If you just say that, like that's the first option, he just goes. You skip the whole fucking cutscene. And I, for some reason, debated pushing that button, but I was like, no, don't do that. But yeah, you can just tell him to fuck off, and he's just gone. I can't imagine giving up Batman, though. Which Joker did you defeat? Most people defeated Vigilante. I like it, but both versions of Joker are very, very good, and like the endings are so good. There's I love it, especially with that that main theme that I told you about that I like. That plays. I don't know if it played during the Vigilante ending, but it plays during the villain ending, and it's just, oh, it's so good. All right, I think that's it. Photos collected. Yeah. I guess I'll press A.
Visitor for John Doe.
Bruce!
Okay, ending here. That cutscene right there at the ending, that will only happen if you do Vigilante Joker and say, yes, John, we were friends. Other words, you'll get a different alternating cutscene depending on which version you get, and it's a nice little touch. I didn't talk about future LPs. I'm going to try and keep it brief just because, like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, mental editing, keep everything from the factory to the end, and I'm like, that's going to be way too long. There's too many ending closures, so it's just going to be like the long ending closure episode from Waller onwards. Right now, the only thing I'm thinking about is Sonic 2, and that's it. So this was a really weird thing this year where it was a balance between Mario and Rabbids and Batman. I don't regret it. I think it was kind of fun doing something different. Wolf Among Us 2, when that eventually comes out, I'm looking forward to it. In other words, right now, the only thing I'm thinking about in my brain is Sonic 2, and that's about it. And I know that'll be short and easy, but also going to be torturous for me. So just know that that's on the top of my brain. But in other words, I am going to like immediately put focus on trying to record the silent protagonist runs for Song of Soaring. And knowing me, that's probably already up on the channel. So if you're interested and you want to see what happens, that'll probably already be out by now because I record in advance because I don't have a bunch of free time. But thanks to coronavirus, I've had a bunch of free time. There's your timestamp for you. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. JC4R.